All right, this is a follow-up video to the last video I did, Out of Control NYPD Abuse of Power You Need to See. A lot of people were suggesting that I watch donut operators' handling of this situation. Here's his video right here, NYPD officers arrest black man in viral video. And I just want to say at the outset, I don't know donut operator. I've never talked to him. From what I've seen of this video, I have massive disagreements, but disagreements are okay. I mean, this is how we grow. This is how we learn. And there were several people who offered up criticism. I don't mind criticism, whether it's constructive or not constructive. I welcome it. So that's how we all grow. A little bit about donut operator before I get into this, and then I wanted to go through 3 comments from the last video that I did that I kind of want to address lightly. Donut operator, in his description, he says, "I'm donut operator. I'm a former police officer and SWAT team member." I don't know why he's not a police officer anymore, and I don't know why he's not a SWAT team member. There's probably a video out there explaining why he's not, and I don't want to make any assumptions, but that is his background. So basically he has an authoritarian background. I can't think of a greater authoritarian in our society, or really any society today, than a law enforcer, somebody who basically just turns off their minds and follows orders. They do what they're told to do, whether it's right or wrong. And we talked about this in the past. It's the conformist versus the moralist. The conformist says, I just do what I'm told regardless of what is right. And the moralist says, I'm just going to do what is right regardless of what I'm told. As we've seen time and time again, law enforcers do just that. They enforce laws whether they're right or wrong. This comment right here says, "Brian, you ruined this video," talking about this video right here. "At 3:26 with your sermon, you said you'd play the video without interruption." I didn't say that. What I did say is, I said, I'm just going to play this. I've told people time and time again, I can't just play a video all the way through. It violates what YouTube calls fair use. If you don't interrupt and basically make that video your own, if you just run it all the way through, you risk a copyright strike or a copyright claim, or you risk something called duplicate content. That's something creators got to be real careful with. So if you're looking for somebody who's just going to play a video all the way through without interrupting, which by the way, Donut Operator doesn't do either, because as a matter of fact, he even says within his video, he's putting his screen in the bottom left-hand corner of the main screen because of fair use. We have to be aware as content creators of fair use. If that turns you off, I don't even know what to tell you. This isn't you have to go to a channel that is just going to play uninterrupted. But of course, you just couldn't resist. Thumbs down, bro, just for that. Again, I didn't say that I was going to play it without interruption. I said I'm going to play the video and I'm going to leave it for you guys to decide. I played the video, didn't say I wasn't going to interrupt, and didn't interrupt. More is less, dude. And you seriously lessen this video because you allowed your ego to get in the way. I don't know where that comes from. Does that mean that anybody who offers up their criticism of a video or injects their commentary, it's ego-driven? I don't know where you even get that. I was set to share this until the I just want to jump in BS. Cut it in half. Get over yourself. Couldn't you have left your what if daydream nonsense till the end? Again, back to fair use. This comment right here says, "Brian, the disconnect with you is you believe drugs are fine." I don't believe drugs are fine. I believe drugs can be very, very dangerous. I believe drugs can be helpful. Some of the biggest drug dealers on this planet are CVS and Walgreens, Big Pharma. 72,000 people die every year from prescription drugs that are taken as directed. Guys, let that sink in. We're not talking about abusing drugs. We're not talking about abusing pharmaceuticals. We're talking about 72,000 people die every year taking a pharmaceutical as directed. CVS and Walgreens are drug dealers. They are dealing some heavy drugs, opioids. There's what they call an opioid epidemic. Part of that is fueled by the CVSs and Walgreens and other big pharmas of this world. So it's not that cops and politicians are against drug dealers. Oh, they're very much for drug dealers. They just want government sanctioned drug dealers, and everybody else, well, they're just criminals. Well, how? Why? Just because you say so? Says I think drugs are fine. No, I don't. Like Pete Buttigieg believes all drugs should be legal. Legality and illegality is a construct of the mind. Let me give you an example. For example, let's say I wanted to sell this Sharpie, or I wanted to sell this bottle of liposomal C or zinc or something. Let's say they declared vitamin C illegal, and they could one day declare vitamin C or zinc illegal. By the way, if the best way to combat coronavirus is to, I shouldn't have said that. The best way to combat C virus is to strengthen your immune system. One of the best ways to do it is just get some over-the-counter vitamin C and zinc. That's a great way to strengthen your immune system. But let's say they declared vitamin C illegal. Now, what if I buy it while it's illegal? Well, then they declare me a criminal. I've not committed a crime. I've just bought vitamin C. Let's say today it's legal, but tomorrow it's illegal. Well, today I'm fine. Hey, I can buy it. I can sell it. I can use it. But tomorrow it's illegal. It's the same with prohibition back in the 1920s. One day it was legal. The next day, for some reason, it was illegal and you were declared a criminal. One day fine, the next day you're a criminal. How can you be a criminal for doing the exact same thing today as you did yesterday just because some politician or law enforcer declared you to be a criminal? It's a construct of the mind. Legality and illegality is a construct of the mind. As a matter of fact, you want kind of a little picture of when I think of legality and illegality, I think of this horse tied to this lawn chair. You've got this powerful 1,200 pound beast tied to a little half a pound Walmart plastic lawn chair. He believes in his mind that he's constrained by this lawn chair. He is not. He is not constrained. The confines are built. The wall is built in his own mind. Legality and illegality is a construct of the mind. That's it. It is literally a fiction. And to add insult to injury, when they're talking about making vitamin C illegal or Sharpie illegal or hard liquor illegal or marijuana or cocaine or whatever, they just declare it illegal. You can't have it, and if we catch you with it, we're going to punish you. They equate legality with morality. They equate illegality with immorality. And nothing could be further from the truth. For example, slavery used to be legal, but it was completely immoral. Abortion currently is legal, and it's 100% immoral. You're not a criminal if you kill a baby in the womb today, even though you've literally committed a crime. See, that's the thing. People are changing the definition of crime. Crime cannot be, well, you broke that politician's law. Well, you did what that officer told you not to do. That's not a crime. A crime has to leave a real victim. If there is no victim, there is no crime. If you haven't stolen from somebody, if you haven't threatened to harm somebody, if you haven't harmed somebody, you have not committed a crime. But they say you've committed a crime because you resisted arrest, or you were smoking marijuana, or you were in possession of meth. No, you haven't committed a crime just because you possessed something that a law enforcer or a politician told you couldn't have. How about this? You know what is illegal in a lot of states in this country, which they equate with immorality? Feeding the homeless. In certain parts in Florida, it is illegal to feed the homeless. And if you're found to be feeding the homeless, then they punish you, they fine you. And if you resist arrest, they will throw you in jail. Why? Because you fed the homeless. You did not commit a crime other than you disobeyed the laws of politicians and law enforcers, but they're going to treat you as a criminal because you violated their word. That is BS. So I take strong issue with this, that all drugs should be legal. There's no such thing as legality or illegality. So if in your eyes, when you see a drug dealer get busted, you report it as a violation of their rights, it absolutely is. Because if somebody wants a bag of weed and another person is willing to give 25, 45, whatever the street rate is for it, they have not committed a crime. They've entered it into a mutual, voluntary interaction where they're both benefiting. The guy who gives the $25 believes he's benefiting because he gets the bag of weed. The guy with the bag of weed believes he's benefiting because he gets the $25. And it's nobody else's business what that interaction is. It's only somebody else's business if somebody forces somebody to do something else against their will and without their consent. So the legality, illegality argument is absolutely 100% a fiction. Changed my mind. This one right here says, the guy was a thug. Talking about this guy that had his hands up. He was backed against the wall by this law enforcer right here. He could have been. But there's no indication in this video that this guy, we'll find out his name in a second, is a thug. There's no indication that he's a thug. He was acting like an ass with his passive-aggressive behavior. What? Because he was being violated by another human being who thought he had more rights than the black guy did? His partner was cool and got a ticket and was released. Partner was cool means the partner submitted to the authorities. See, if you submit to the authorities, you're cool. So if you just comply because another human being with a badge, uniform, a gun, and the authority of the state says you need to comply, if you just comply, you're doing that which is cool. You're doing that which is right. That's how we lose our freedoms. Just rolling over and submitting. Do you think for a second if Samuel Adams or Thomas Jefferson or any one of the founding fathers just rolled over and just said, okay, let the redcoats do whatever they want. Just submit to the British. Just comply with King George. Just comply. Just comply. Do you think we'd be the country we are today? You can get emotional for this adult baby all you want. I don't. There was no emotion in my last video. It's egregious. When a human being violates the will and the rights of another human being, it's egregious. And even if you get emotions involved, it seems like it's just. But he brought this on himself. What? By running from people who are armed, who could literally kill him? We've seen it both ways, guys. If you don't submit, harm will come to you. If you submit, if you comply, harm will come to you. Think of Philando Castile. He reached into his back pocket on the command of the cops to give him his concealed carry permit to show that he could legally carry a gun. And the cop freaked out and killed him. Daniel Shaver was trying his best to comply in that hallway of that La Quinta Inn in Mesa, Arizona, and he died trying to comply. Other people resist, they die. People comply, they die. It's like, it's a catch-22. You're not going to win. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So let's get into Donut Operator. I just got a couple snippets. I'm not going to go through his whole video, but I'm already 12 minutes into this video, so let's get started.
Hi everyone, Donut here. I've got a little liar pants on fire for you fine people. I think we've done a few videos on Miss Rebecca Kavanaugh here. She's a defense attorney out of New York. She posted this earlier today and it's already got 8 million views. This is a big old video right here. This content needs a strong trigger warning for police violence. This young man was stopped by a plainclothes police officer this evening in Canarsie, Brooklyn, apparently for being in a park shortly after the 9 p.m. closing time. That part's not really apparent to me. Rebecca has this crazy ability to see what happened on scene before the camera actually started filming. She's done it several times. It's really nutty. She should go to the circus and be a fortune teller or something. We're not going to watch the video quite yet. Let's read some of the comments. She follows it up with content warning, police violence, part 2. Regardless of the reason to stop, because I'm sure NYPD will come up with a reason like a report of a gun, there is no possible justification for this.
And actually, that's what NYPD did. It was a report of shots fired. There was a third video that this Velvet girl put out that showed the cops trying to look for that gun, and they never found it.
This young man is clearly terrified because he's being held at gunpoint by a cop. Remember that part. Who doesn't even identify.
Initially, he wasn't held at gunpoint. He was held at taser point. The cop who had him up against the wall had a radio in one hand, and it looked like a yellow taser in the other hand, unless he's got a gun that's yellow.
Like anyone would be, but he is fully cooperative. He doesn't do anything that would have needed more than one cop to calmly arrest him. For being a defense attorney, she really knows jack shit about policing. So many young people I represent describe being arrested like this. Criminals.
Donut Operator right there just made an assumption after condemning this Rebecca Kavanaugh for making an assumption. He's assuming that the people that she's representing are criminals. Now keep in mind, in the mindset of an authoritarian, if you don't comply, you've committed a crime. So he's equating crime with people who don't comply with the law, which is completely antithetical to true liberty and everything this country is supposedly built on. So he makes his own assumption of Rebecca Kavanaugh after he condemned Rebecca Kavanaugh for something that he would later do and later did.
Blah, 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 blah. And then this idiot.
Okay, now he says this sarcastically. These are his comments on Rebecca Kavanaugh's Twitter feed. And what Donut Operator says is, how do you know what happened? That's a good question. I'm also failing to see the brutality. Now, Donut Operator, keep in mind, Donut Operator goes through this entire video where he sees 10 to 12 cops dogpile onto this guy. And I'm saying guy because it doesn't matter to me what color the guy's skin is. Human beings thought they could violate the rights of another human being just because they heard shots fired. So basically, he's guilty until proven innocent, and that's exactly how they treated him, and that's exactly what Donut Operator's condoning here. And he fails to see the brutality of 12 guys dogpiling one guy? I don't understand that. They put a guy in handcuffs that didn't want to go into handcuffs. By the way, the guy who didn't want to go into handcuffs was innocent and is innocent. And they dogpiled him anyway. That's the big problem I got. Oh, they ran from the cops. You probably shouldn't run from the cops. Why not? You probably have a better chance. I'm not advocating running from the cops here, okay? Because it's just as dangerous running from them as it is complying. Like I said, it's a catch-22 situation that we find ourselves, unfortunately, in today. And then he gives this link from Eyewitness News, ABC7. Brooklyn unarmed man aggressively arrested. Police say he resisted in the video. The guy's, Donut Operator's calling it resisting too. The guy's got his hands up as the undercover cop has him pushed up against the wall going, what did I do? The big thing that I made, the issue that I made in my last video was the cop wasn't telling this guy what he did wrong. Did not tell this guy why he was being detained. And cops need to tell you why you're being detained. He did not even identify himself as a police officer and did not say why he was detaining this guy.
Every single one of these cops should be first fired, then prosecuted. Is there a list being maintained anywhere of cops that engage in these types of violations? There should be a
he goes through this. He plays the video. He gives his commentary in the video, and then we come to this point in Donut Operator's video.
So it was obvious right there he was waiting for backup. That's why he wasn't trying to put him in handcuffs. The guy was actively resisting. That's actively resisting right there.
It's not a crime, by the way, to actively resist somebody who's applying force on you for no freaking reason. It is inherently unjust to initiate unjust force and violence on a peaceful person who didn't do anything wrong. All they saw, these two guys, this guy, he's got it up against the wall. He had a friend, and they were both reportedly smoking a joint. So what? That's not a crime. It may be illegal, legal or illegal. It doesn't matter. The guy wasn't harming or threatening to harm anybody else when he was violently pushed up against the wall by a non-badged NYPD thug.
If you notice, but the officers who were coming to help were running code, meaning they had their lights on and they were coming fast to help a fellow officer. Something must have happened before the cameras started rolling. Or did the plainclothes officer run up to the guy, push him against the wall for no reason, just because he's being black walking down the street, and racism? He's already actively resisting, and then it gets.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody brings racism into this. Yeah, the cop was white, and the black guy, the victim was black. It could have been the other way around. It could have been a black cop with a white guy up against the wall. Is that racism? It could have been a white cop with a white guy against the wall, or a black cop with a black guy against the wall. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. To me, all I'm seeing is a human being was violating the rights of another human being clearly. And even when the dust settled at the end of the day and they charged this guy with the resisting arrest and all this other stuff that we'll see and possession of marijuana, the guy was completely innocent. Anti-crime officers in plainclothes responding to shots fired. This is the article that Donut Operator over here reads later. I'm just going to do it now. Near 100% playground on Glenwood Road at this place right here, when they say they saw two individuals lighting a marijuana cigarette. The officers went inside the park and approached the two young men who ran off. That's a natural response to a normal human being to run away from badged enforcers who are known to harm and even kill people. It's a natural response. Why are people surprised why are you nervous when a cop pulls up behind you? Because you know you're about to be violated. They're either going to rip you off by levying a heavy fine for going over the speed limit or your tail lights out or whatever, or you're about to get harassed, handcuffed, arrested, caged, or killed. That's why people run. And people wonder why you run from cops. One of the officers called for backup and chased after the individuals, giving one man a summons and arresting the other. The one who got arrested was caught on camera and shared thousands of times on Twitter. Police say in the video that suspect, 25-year-old Fitzroy Gale, resisted arrest and refused to cooperate. Authorities took down Gale with force and had his ankle stepped on by an officer in the process. The suspect turned out to be unarmed. Gale's family and attorney held a rally. Here's what Bill de Blasio says. Everything would have been made better if people would not run when police walked up to them. That's exactly what you're going to hear donut operators say. Thanks, Bill de Blasio.
I did not commit any crimes. I did not commit any crimes. I did not commit any crimes.
All right, this is just more of this video. And I just want to remind you how they... Here, let's just watch him dogpile this guy. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys on him right now. More guys are about to come.
Okay, the guy goes down to his butt, and you can see his hands doing this, trying to do anything he can to not be put in handcuffs. Surely, they're doing this for no reason, though. You can also clearly see his legs flailing around and kicking. Back it up a little bit.
There's cop number 5.
Bro, he wasn't even resisting any shit.
All right.
Here comes cop number 6.
Looks like he struck one time and then he kneed one time. I went back and watched this video in slow motion like 5 or 6 times, and this is the only time I see strikes being thrown. There's a part here in a second where it looks like an officer might have stomped on his leg, but it may just be him trying to hold his leg down because he's flailing around.
But that's not a big deal. Even if they didn't knee him and punch him and step on his leg or whatever, it is not, it's brutality when 10 or 12 guys, if just 4 guys, 3 guys dogpile you and get up on top of you, and they could be twisting your limbs, breaking your limbs, getting things out of joint, putting your face into the concrete. This is abuse of authority, period. On a guy who turns out to be innocent. He did not commit a crime.
No, if either of the officers violated departmental policy or the law, then hopefully they're punished.
All right, now
for it.
here's another segment.
This is the second questionable use of force I was talking about right here. Watch the officer who falls on the ground.
He just refers to him stepping on his foot here.
There's video 2. Let's watch the rest of the arrest.
All right, now already there's 8 officers. More are coming.
Oh my God! Look at this one. Why would they do that? I never want to do that.
It's just I don't see how anybody could watch this video and not see this. This is completely ridiculous. This is absolutely an abuse of power. You'd think that this guy was Charles Manson and he just got done ripping a baby out of some woman's belly. It's just ridiculous.
He keeps screaming he's not resisting, but that was active resistance.
Yeah, and resisting is not a crime when you are innocent. You have a right to defend yourself if somebody comes up and tries to assail you.
You want to see a simple trick?
Okay, now watch this. Here's the point that I really wanted to get to. This is where Donut Operator, since he quit the force and the SWAT team, has not walked away from his authoritarian leanings.
You want to see a simple trick to avoid all of this? Sir, put your hands behind your back. Holy shit. So what really happened?
So what he's saying when he says this is just comply. Do what we tell you to do. Don't ask any questions. Just obey our orders. Basically, Donut Operator is telling you to be an order follower. He's telling you to give up your rights. Don't resist. Don't fight for your liberties. Just do what they say. And to one extent, it could save your life. But on another scale, you've seen people do exactly what Donut Operator's suggesting, and they die. James Boyd, Daniel Shaver, Kelly Thomas. The list goes on. Let me just remind you of the Fourth Amendment. The right of the people to be secure. Secure. Was this cop making sure that this guy that he had up against the wall was secure in his person? Houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. We saw nothing but the violation of this guy's Fourth Amendment rights. And no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause. Probable cause of what? Probable cause that a crime has been committed. Let me just remind Donut Operator of the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are what? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments, supposedly governments, are instituted among men. That's a laugh. Deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That's a laugh. That whenever any form of government, like this NYPD dogpile incident, becomes destructive of these ends, I'd say this right here is pretty destructive to the ends of life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. In other words, don't comply. Don't be an order follower. Do not submit. Actually, resist. It's the right of the people to alter or abolish it, not put your hands behind your back and be a good little Johnny or a good little Susie and do what the law enforcers tell you to do. Let's finish this out.
They got a call for shots fired at the park. They showed up and they see 2 people taking off running. Oh, yeah, dude, there was absolutely no reason for them to chase them and stop them.
In one sense, I understand what he's saying. But it's all circumstantial. These guys lighting a joint in a park does not mean they're guilty, but they were treated as though they were guilty. It's the guilty until proven innocent mindset that we really got to step away from.
I want to point out, too, that the other guy, the 18-year-old they were talking about, they gave him a ticket and let him go. As far as the weed
In other words, he complied and he still got punished. A ticket for what? I thought marijuana was decriminalized in New York.
They gave him a ticket and let him go. As far as the weed goes, I don't care about that. Most police officers these days really don't care about that.
That is a lie. Most police officers don't care about drugs.
Hell, for all we know, if a cop showed up and saw him smoking weed, they might have just said, hey, don't do that. Go home.
Well, even if a cop said, hey, don't do that, he doesn't have a right to tell another person what they can or can't do with their own body. That is antithetical to individual liberties.
I think it should be legalized everywhere, but if it's illegal and you're doing it and you get in trouble, it's your fault.
Legality and illegality, again, is just a construct of the mind.
Okay, despite the marijuana, cops got a call for shots fired, showed up, saw 2 dudes running, and they stopped them. Both dudes who took off running, there were completely different outcomes. There was one who resisted detention, had to be taken to the ground, had to be put in handcuffs and arrested. Then there was...
No, he didn't. He didn't have to be detained. He didn't have to be taken to the ground. He didn't have to be handcuffed, and he didn't have to be arrested, and he didn't have to be charged. He wasn't a criminal. See, a grave injustice happened, and donut operators okay with it. I'm going to play this again.
Okay, despite the marijuana, cops got a call for shots fired, showed up, saw 2 dudes running, and they stopped them. Both dudes who took off running, there were completely different outcomes. There was one who resisted detention, had to be taken to the ground, had to be put in handcuffs and arrested.
That's utter BS, guys. Did not have to. It was completely unjust that he was taken to the ground and arrested.
And there was one who probably didn't do that, and they gave him a ticket, and he left and went on his merry way. I know a lot of people in the comments were asking also, why do you need 10 cops to subdue one guy? Have you ever tried to get someone in handcuffs who just absolutely does not want to go into handcuffs?
Most people haven't done that because most people are not interested in violating the rights of another person. Most people are not interested in telling somebody to do something that they don't want to do. And I don't know anybody in my zone of influence or my sphere that would want to violate another person's rights just because they don't comply with your commands.
Than you think, and it takes more than 1, sometimes 2 people to do it. But that's just my opinion. According to Twitter, I'm just a big racist for commenting.
All right, and I want to make it clear, I'm not calling Donut Operator a racist, but he is an authoritarian, and he's basically saying just comply with the cops. Just obey. It'll go way easier for you. Guys, if we continue to do that, and I know there's certain times where you got to do that, or you're at your wit's end. You're alone. Nobody's recording. It's like, God, okay, I'm complying, not because it's right, but because I feel like you're going to harm me. You're going to kill my family. You might kill my dog. You might, take my girlfriend into custody. You might take my kids away with CPS. All right, I'm just going to comply, but I'm not doing it because it's right. That's not the kind of world we need to live in, guys. We don't want to live in a police state. I'm going to leave this right here. Leave your thoughts about this. I know this video went on for a long time. I hope you find it beneficial. If you do, Give it a like, give it a share, and I really want to hear your comments on this. Am I wrong? Am I wrong about legality, illegality? Am I wrong that a crime necessitates leaving an actual material victim who's been harmed in some way by the criminal? So if I'm wrong about anything, lay it on me, man. Let me have it. I don't mind. If you guys enjoyed these videos, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give them a thumbs up, share them with everybody you know, and don't forget to subscribe to my private email list through my website, highimpactflicks.com. I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video.
Take a ride on the wild side.